Okay, my good friends, we all know who the National Institutes of Health are. This is a government agency, and they are trying to figure out about COVID-19 and their vaccines, and they're talking about it and training and the jobs and the funding, and they're putting $3 billion into investment to spur development of antiviral treatments for COVID-19, $3 billion. Now, let's talk about what they have done and what I think maybe they should re-look at is things that they did in the past that I think have been just overlooked now. All right, I'm just going to read to you the salient points from, first of all, let's go to the 2011 paper on probiotics. And this is from also the National Institute of Health. To my feeling, they dropped the ball for 10 years. They said that the recent findings back in 2011 said probiotic genomic and proteomic studies have identified several genes and specific compounds derived from these probiotics which mediate immunoregulatory effects. That's your immune system. Studies regarding the biological consequence of probiotics in host, which is you, immunity, suggest that they regulate the functions of your system and your mucosal immune cells. That creates the slime that keeps the things from attacking you. And the intestinal epithelial cells, which are the lining of the cells that are in your intestines. Thus, probiotics showed therapeutic potential for diseases including several immune response related diseases such as allergies, eczema, viral infections, and potentiating vaccination responses. Now that is the National Institute of Health. Let's just take a look at that paper so I can prove it's true. Okay, there's the proof. This was 2011, probiotics and the immune health. The benefits of probiotics have been demonstrated in many diseases. Now, let's go to 2021. Okay, now we're up to 2021, May 19th, National Institute of Health probiotics. We're going to go to that site in a second. Evidence supports probiotics' role in regulating the immune system, suggesting a definitive role for probiotics in viral infections. That means absolute no question. It is a role. Definitive means no question whatsoever. Probiotic supplementation could reduce the severity of COVID-19 morbidity and mortality. Probiotics can inhibit cytokine storms by simultaneously boosting the innate immunity and evading the exaggeration of adapting your body to this immunity, which takes time, which is challenged to respond quickly to these viral onslaughts, because this is a new virus that we haven't seen before, so we have no way to deal with it, so we have to intervene. The vaccine is the intervention, but you also need the probiotics to keep your immune system healthy. It regulates your immune system. That's what they say. Probiotics induced suppression of the inflammatory cytokine response may prevent both the severity and occurrence of acute respiratory disease syndrome, distress syndrome, making probiotics an attractive adjunct, which is an attractive add-on to whatever else you're doing. Inventing effective therapy will transform the impact of the pandemic on lives as well as economies across the globe. So if we can help, that's not bad. Therefore, supplementation of probiotics in high risk, so you can give them to high risk people. They're saying before, oh, high risk, you shouldn't give them to them. Well, they're saying supplementation to high risk people and severely ill patients. So even when they're extremely severely ill, give them to them. That's what they're saying, not me. And frontline health workers, so if you're anywhere in the frontline health workers, you should be getting them too, might limit the infection and flatten the COVID-19 curve. Right now it's going like this. If we can bring it up and sort and bring it down, we're in good shape. However, currently there are no random controlled trials to demonstrate conclusive evidence. On the other hand, circumstantial evidence has supported the presumption that the probiotic supplementation decreases the severity of COVID-19 responses, including mortality. That's right from National Institute of Health just a couple of months ago. And here's the let's go. I'm going to show you again. I'm proving that these articles exist. I'm not making it up. All right, here it is. Probiotics in the prevention and treatment of COVID-19. Current and current perspective and future prospects. Saving lives and flattening the curve, foremost priorities. All right, so, what I read you is in here. Down, you get down to the conclusion, that's exactly what it says. That's all I read was the conclusion. Now, that's their words, not mine, so please don't give me another week off from YouTube for talking about this. And that's what happened last time I talked about this. I got a week off. So I'm hoping that won't happen. And a strike. And they could take my whole channel down if they just keep striking me for speaking about the National Institute of Health. Not my words, that's the words from them. Okay, my outstandingly wonderful, exquisite, intelligent friends, we are going to go through the way you protect yourself and health. Now, I am not against vaccines whatsoever. I was vaccinated for this COVID-19, so don't come at me with that point of view. What I am here to present is the immune system and the microbiome. And not only are we going to do from early childhood up, we're going to do what is required for the mother to have a healthy baby. What minerals and so forth should she be having in her body and her immune system so that the baby also has some of that immunity built into him. And it does appear that it passes on, and they've done this study through worms, basically. You know, there's a lot of studies that are not done in the human realm, but they appear to simulate what will happen in a human being or in any creature that has basically, you know, DNA and so forth. Now, these vaccines, I'm not going to even discuss them. I don't want to talk about them. I got the Pfizer one. I don't know, you know, I think it's better than dying. There may be side effects. I've seen there is some, but I don't think they're of any major consequence. They may be more harmful in children. This is what we're going to look into. Because if we're not looking into them, we're avoiding whatever the potential down the road issues are. And kids have very strong lungs, so they don't have the mortality rate that old people do and their lungs just fail, because they're already, they used to call it adult respiratory distress syndrome. And now it's acute respiratory distress syndrome, because it's kind of boom, comes on like that. Adult, you just get older and older, and your lungs just don't have that give and take like they used to have. So you know, you're going to get distressed as you get older and older. That's like a condition. Now, young kids don't have that, so they are affected a little differently. It appears from this COVID. This is a research. I'm not saying take this, don't take this. I'm a researcher. These people are researchers. I'm in a group of researchers, and we're all looking into fascia and interstitium, which was just discovered. I think I showed you, or I will show you. It's a brand new, they're considering an organ system, and it is, because it is where all of the immune, it literally is your immune system. They just never knew it was there. They thought it was just a flat piece of, like, a sheet of plastic that covered all separations of layers of tissue. And no, every one of those pieces of plastic is filled with thousands and thousands of bags of fluids in between, which are considered these interstitium layers and fluid-filled bags of bacteria. That's where your true microbiome lives. It's membrane-bound bacteria. All right, now the really important thing to understand is this is just all brand new research. This has just been discovered a couple of years ago, 2018. Scientists identified a new human organ hiding in plain sight. Discovery they hope could help them understand the spread of cancer within the body. Layers long thought to be dense, just solid mats connective tissue, actually a series of fluid-filled compartments researchers have termed the interstitium. And there it is right there. And these bags of fluid contain these bacteria. They didn't even know they existed here. So this is brand new, and I literally almost no doctors even know anything about this. I've tried to talk to them. They just said, oh, I don't know anything about that. And they don't. And they have no idea that the bacteria that lives in these bags is literally your immune system. Now, this is what we've discovered from a lot of research. And this is brand new. Look, meet your new interstitium here. And I know that I know the people that are involved in this research, and there is just literally a handful. And we're going to go into a big long symposium about this, and I'm going to try to cut pieces out of it that are the most important, but it was 4.5 hours. And these are the top researchers, and here it is right here. And these are the people that are looking into this microbiome and the early childhood development. The kids are the ones that are suffering. I have a friend whose son was severely autistic, and we got him down to a very, very way on the other end of the spectrum of autism. And he was nonverbal and everything. Now he's in pretty good shape, verbal, doing all kinds of normal things. And it was the intervention of the probiotics. And we know this because there's been times when she can't get the probiotics, and he goes right back into the stimming and shaking and all this. And I believe the membranes, as I just showed you, that interstitium coats every single layer of tissue, including the vagus nerves and the nerve axions and all that. It's a layer of fat that coats around them as insulation, because there's nothing more than electrical signals. And all they do when they do that is just shorting out their electrical signals. Basically, that's what's happening. And the same thing with Alzheimer's and all these other things. And also, there's other issues when you have bacterial problems, that you don't consume the right amounts of food the correct way, because you don't have the enzymes, which are catalysts that break down products as they flow through your system. So you can't break down something, your body craves it. And then you start eating everything in sight to try to get some, and then people get very, very heavy, and then they have all kinds of organ problems because they never had the tissue, the correct type of collagens. And this is what happens. These bacteria create molecules that create fabric. And that fabric is the fascia and the interstitium, which is these fluid-filled bags. Now, if you can't create the collagens, you have a weak system of fluid-filled bags, because you don't have the correct collagens. Now, some bacterias attack the collagens, and they turn into different ratios. And I can tell you exactly what happens, and they've known this for many, many years, that what we call now acute respiratory distress syndrome changes the level of collagens from a level of 1 to 2, and it's for, collagen 1 and 3 are supposed to be a 1 to 2 ratio. Well, it changes it to 1 to 4. So all the floppy collagens are in there, but the springy ones are not enough to work with all that floppy stuff. So you end up having your lungs and everything give out, and all of the springy parts are not springy enough now to deal with the breathing and all the pulsation of your heart and your vascular system, and they break. And then you get all of these fibers. They call it fibrosis, fibritic. And this is not just from COVID. This is from all these diseases have the same footprint. But it's not as invasive as the COVID. The COVID we've never seen before. It's a novel disease. It's something that comes in and bam, it hits you like a rocket ship. Other things we can fight back to some degree, but if you don't have enough bacteria, you just can't fight back. And the people that are the long haulers, they still don't have the right bacteria. So they're still going to be long hauling. They're just never going to get better, because their bacteria is not there to provide the maintenance to get rid of these fibers and to create enzymes and catalysts and all of the things they do to support your body's ability to deal with these invasive things, whatever they are, toxins, chemistry, bacteria, whatever it is. If you have the right bacteria in you, it will fight every other bacteria that wants to invade you, and it will also supply the mucus, the serosa, the catalysts, the enzymes, and you will be healthy below that membrane. You know, you might break your arm or something, or you might get invaded by blood problems. All right, these are the membranes in your body. This is where this is esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and rectum, all the way down. You see that? That's the interstitium, 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 interstitium. If you don't have that layer and it's filled with bacteria, every one of these layers is subject to invasion. These things squirt out little products to attack and maintain and enzymes and so forth, and they squirt them out from this layer. The same layer everywhere, the whole thing. So if you don't have that layer filled with protection, you get invaded and then you're sick. Now, something to remember, a newborn has no digestive system. They have nothing. Does not have a digestive function from birth. All right, now, it develops as they become exposed to their environment. The mother's milk has what the baby can absorb and be nurtured by. And then, of course, they have formulas and so forth now that apparently mimic the mother's milk. I don't know. I'm not going to make any determination about that either, because I don't know. But I do know that if the baby is not nourished correctly, and first of all, it has to be slathered with vaginal juices and fecal matter even as well, because that is what protects the surface areas from what's coming in. It'll be slathered with bacteria. That is your protective mechanism. And if the baby comes out and it has no bacteria on there, there's actually what they call, I think it's like called stone children or something. And their outside layers start to turn out almost like stone, literally. You could look it up. And it's a very serious issue, and they very, very rarely survive. But some do. And they still maintain that issue for their lifetime. Now, that's another story, but that's on the extreme end of things. But if my point being is the amount of bacteria that you get on you that is natural bacteria, vaginal juices, fecal matter, that's natural. It's natural. It's natural stuff. What you don't want on you is gasoline and, you know, all kinds of things that are not natural, that are invasive in chemicals and acids and so forth. Those things are going to invade and attack your tissues. Now, your tissues should be able to survive that, and then again, probably in this area is where all of the bacteria creates the products to repair. I would imagine that's also in this area. Because a lot of people can't respond to cuts and things. They don't have, you know, which is a cut up on, let's say this was your skin. You got a cut, and then you get, like I get cuts all the time. I'm working with fossils, and they have ancient DNA in them. I know they do. And I don't think I've been invaded and hurt by them. I heal up very quickly. I have good bacteria in me. I don't get sick. This right here is your immune system. And not only does it exist in your intestinal and your digestive system, in between every single layer of tissue in your body, and every blood vessel, and every nerve, and everything else has a layer of what they call a synovial sheath. And it's not just a sheath, it's a layer of membranes, which are these fluid-filled bags. They don't just exist here, they exist everywhere in your body, and they're so tiny that your mind could never wrap around how many layers of tissue there is in what they consider, like they're showing a half a dozen layers here. There's thousands of bags deep. It's incredible. And I know this from my research from mud fossils. And this is how interstitium was really, in my mind, discovered, because I could see them. And then I started discussing this with people that were in this realm, working with fascia and periosteum and all these membranes and so forth. And then it started to become a hot topic, and now it's big. It's your immune system. It was never known before. That's why all these diseases, they have no idea why these diseases happen. And then they started shooting this at you and shooting that at you and try this and try that. Get your immune system working. Get your bacteria working. And what we need to do is, with this group of people I'm working with now, we need to map, what is the bacteria that's living here? What's the bacteria here? What's the bacteria? What's the bacteria? Is there, there's different lengths of your intestine. Is it something different here and then here and then here and then here? And it is. I can tell you right now it is. But what is it? And what's in your throat? And what's in your kidneys? And what about what covers your heart? These are all different bacteria and strains that create different enzymes and catalysts and products that protect that exact type of tissue. And the people I'm working with now are telling me that there's what they have like sacs around joints and things like this. A lot of these people were involved with sports injuries, and your knee or something goes bad, and what's the cause of that? And they could see this inflammation of these tissues and these linings and these membranes, and they inside the sac was where you had these inflammation and so forth. And at the layer, it was, in other words, they realized there was something going on in these fluids, in these regions. So the region itself is supported by a specific colony of bacteria. It's like you got the Red Brigade living there. Well, if the Blue Brigade comes in and tries to invade the Red Brigade, which is your protective bacteria, your Red Brigade better be able to fight back. If it can't, the Blue Brigade comes in and takes over, and then what I have found is that they actually attack the tissues that are in those areas, creating inflammation, which is red and raw, and then they break through the membranes and you get bloody perforations and so forth. Now, why does that happen? Is it because it goes in there and starts chewing away at the thing? I don't know. I think now it's because these different bacteria may have a different pH. When they get in there, instead of living at 7.35, their whatever their chemistry produces, it might be more acidic, or it might be more salty. It might be just too much of one way or the other, and it damages the tissue, and then the tissue becomes inflamed, and it tries to protect itself, and it can't, because that thing is living in there. It just keeps spewing out the same stuff. You got to kill that thing that's in there, but what you want to do is have your own body be able to come in and kill it. And your own body only can do it if it has the right bacteria. So we're back to the bacteria. I'm going to go back to bacteria, every single where in your, all through your lungs and your heart and your throat and your kidneys and your nose and your ears and your eyeballs, 100% completely slathered with bacteria. And this could be proven if we had some research. You take a swab, or even like some autopsy results of what is living in a healthy person versus an unhealthy person when they die. Or if you can do it when they're alive, that's preferable. But we need to get some kind of a map. What kind of bacteria, because it's all going to be different. I can almost guarantee you that. And now, if you go to anybody that's talking about probiotics now, they'll tell you take the one that has the most of everything in it. Just hit yourself with every bacteria you can. And I'm not adverse to that. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying that some people say that. I didn't say that. See, I don't make any recommendations. I take probiotics myself. I can make statements like that. There's no reason I can't. You know, I was very distressed that they gave me a week of just down and out. I couldn't post. I couldn't do anything. And and this is very important stuff. And it's brand new. That's why they think I'm making recommendations outside of the scientific community. And, you know, I can understand them thinking that, because if you look at the evidence, you would make that same recommendation yourself, probably. But I'm not making any recommendations. I'm showing the research. All right, please don't give me another week, please, 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 please.